This is Goals with Soul, the podcast for visionary coaches and entrepreneurs, building your business with inspired action, in alignment with your mission and authentic message, so you can create impact for your soul clients and feel lit up every day. I'm your host, Jo Ingram, married mum of 3 daughters from London and a former ad agency director turned business coach and strategist. In Goals with Soul, we blend revenue generation with energetics, marketing strategies with pranic healing, and ambitious business goals with our soul's desires. If you're looking to build your business with less efforting and more ease, this is the podcast for you. Let's dive in. What does resistance mean to you? And do you ever feel resistance embodied in your body? Now, this is something that's come up for me more and more recently. I am very sensitive to energy, not something I realized until the last year or two when I trained as a pranic healer and also started to dive into a lot of different modalities and having different experiences. One of the ways that I really broke through in my understanding of this was when I had a human design reading a few months back and actually discovered that I'm a reflector, which is a rare category. There's only 1% of humans fall into the reflector group. And actually what this means, among other things, is that I'm very empathetic and really take on a lot of the feelings and emotions that people around me have. I take on their ideas and I get deeply inspired by them, but also feel a lot of their resistance too, as though it's not bad enough, right, that you've got your own resistance. You're also feeling other people's. And it's made me think a lot more about energy and resistance in general and how I feel that. And it's become very clear to me that I feel it in my throat. Whenever something happens, I come across something that makes me feel resistance, my throat instantly feels tighter. And this could be anything that provokes me. For example, I might be looking around online on social media. Yep, that old thing that we all do. And I might see somebody that's doing phenomenally well in my space. And straight away, my throat will feel tight. It's like I didn't even have a conscious thought about what this meant to me personally, but my body's already told me that there's a feeling of resistance there. Perhaps a feeling of not good enough, a feeling of comparison, a feeling of judging myself for some reason. And this can come up in the slightest moment over very, very small things. And at first, I was really resistant to this feeling. I was like, I don't like this. Makes me feel like I'm not going to ever achieve what I want, that I'm blocking myself and feeling a lot of these negative thoughts. But actually more recently, I've also become more grateful of this feeling because it's a physical manifestation of something that I can deal with. Firstly, by acknowledging it, and secondly, by actually taking some steps to allow that feeling to dissipate and for me to balance my energy. So now I'm in a zone of welcoming that resistance, that tightness in my throat, because I see that here is where there is work to do and I can embrace that rather than push against that. And literally, I'm recording this episode completely spontaneously because 5 minutes ago, I'm walking through the woods. I've just been at my friend's home and I'm helping her with business coaching and she practices Reiki on me and we're having this beautiful synergistic experience. And between her house and mine are the woods and I'm walking along. And as I walked, my phone beeped and there was a text message from the NS&I, which is a financial institution owned by the government here in the UK, which when you invest in it, you can win prizes. And here it said, congratulations, Joanna, you have won with NS&I. Log in to find out what you've won. Now, I felt instantly grateful, like, yay, instant manifestation of abundance. That's what I'm talking about. But I'd also know from experience that quite often the amount that you win is £25. Now, I'm not going to knock £25. It's beautiful for abundance to come in all shapes and sizes. But I've known in the past that when I've checked in on my winnings and I've seen that I've won the lowest amount, £25, I don't feel that grateful. I think, oh, typical. You know, there's £1 million wins out there. There's £10,000 wins. There's £1,000 wins. Hell, £100 wins. But whenever I've won it, it's always just been £25, right? So this thought was going through my mind. And then I felt the tightness in my throat, this resistance. a frustration that I was even going through this mental avenue, that these were the thoughts that were coming up. And so I decided to inquire of myself, why are you feeling the resistance? What are you pushing against? And the word that came to me was disappointment, for the idea that when I check in on that winnings, I will feel disappointed rather than grateful or appreciative or joyful. What's the real story behind that? And I realized that, of course, it's all up to your own stories and how you define the reality for yourself. But in that moment, my reality was, well, £25, typical that I would always win the lowest amount. Now, you could define that as not that lucky. But actually, I realized on top of that when you define disappointment, it's often because you've got a very short-term attitude to things that are happening in the now. And I realized looking at my life's pattern that actually something that seems disappointing in the moment turns out to be a real gift. Whether I see that instantly as a gift of me being able to tell this story right now, which has got me fully energized, or whether in fact it's something deeper and more karmic about the way that abundance comes to me and my attitude to it. Perhaps it will provoke me to inquire further about how I show appreciation for even small moments of abundance, which I'm sure that it will, now that I've put a spotlight on this particular feeling of resistance. So firstly, I'm deeply thankful that resistance shows up in my body. And I wonder, does it show up in yours too? Do you get feelings that perhaps you're not even aware of at the moment? That if you tune into it, you can understand where you're feeling resistance, and it will give you the opportunity to inquire a little bit more deeply. And that's the second point, the inquiry. Ask yourself the questions. Why am I feeling this way? What benefit might there be to this feeling of resistance? And then thirdly, take the opportunity to reframe it. Ask yourself if it really is something worth feeling that resistance about, or actually if the story could be quite different if you should allow it to be. I adore allowing consideration of energy to be a central part of building businesses. In my experience, particularly if you're prone to overworking or overproving, it's almost impossible to go forward with ease and joy if you're not aligning with an energy that supports you. I found myself on a path to bring more and more energetic expansion into my life and the life of my clients. I never realized a couple of years ago when I did my pranic healing certification that I would go on to want to absorb so many more energetic modalities. But what I found is that I zero in on those modalities that are specifically successful for myself and women exactly like me, ambitious, but also holding on too tight. So I seek out modalities that really allow that release and that belief shift. And I have to share, at the moment, I'm in a certification where I'm learning a variety of different modalities, and it's getting me so excited. Like, I zeroed in on training in breathwork facilitation, and I cannot wait to bring this to my clients. I know that whenever I take part in a breathwork session, it completely opens the channels of inspiration and of receiving. And it's like divine guidance that I will definitely include breathwork in my new group program, Time to Rise, when it launches shortly. I think combining proven business strategies with energy curation is the real key to unlocking not just success, but success with ease, and not feeling trampled down and burdened by the work that we do every day. Feeling lit up is my goal. And even when I look at tasks that I don't want to do and that I feel a little bit anxious about doing, and my throat tightens up and I inquire what's going on here, and I worry about burnout. What if I get too busy again and burn out? Because that isn't in alignment with how I wish to build my business and live my life. So I've just opened to the fact that I can design my life and my business by combining those elements that are proven to create results. Was when I unleashed my authentic, unique message, and I combined that with energy releases, that I found my business really started to move forward in what I've described in previous episodes as quantum shifts. And if that's something that calls to you, you might be a really good fit for Time to Rise, my new magnetic messaging program that's been devised to embrace your uniqueness, the desirability of your offer, and energetics. If you'd like to know more about it and see if it's a good fit for you, jump into the show notes and click on the link to book in a free one-to-one clarity call. Here's to your Inspired Action Week. Take care. Bye now.